Hey friends, welcome back to Bubbly Balloon Co. I'm Rachel, and in today's video, we are doing a simple and manly balloon bouquet for my husband's birthday. Stay tuned. First, let's look at the supplies I'm using today. So for the base, I'm using Qualitex Black. I have 11-inch and 5-inch in Onyx Black. I'm also trying out the new Calisan balloons. This is the color Mirror Space Gray and 12-inch. I'm going to be using black 260s. And then for detail, I have these little 5-inch chrome gold I got off of Amazon. And in foils, I have this whiskey bottle, and then I have 2 gold numbers. I'm also going to be using Balloon Bond and a hand pump on the foil balloons. Okay guys, let's get started making a base. So the first thing I'm going to do is take 2 balloons of any color and inflate them at the same time to pretty much the same size. With a balloon bouquet, what we want to do here is make a base that we can then decorate and add foils on top of, and we need it to balance and stay strong and hold. So I'm doing 2 pairs of 2 here. All I'm doing is taking any 2 balloons, these are 11-inch Onyx Black from Qualitex, inflating them to approximately the same size, flattening them a little bit to make them round, and then tying those necks close together and doing the 2 together and twist method to make a quad. Now I've got my first quad done, I'm going to go ahead and make a second one here. So let me take 2 balloons of any color. I'm also adding in here a Mirror Space Gray from Calisan along with my black. And I'm going to go ahead and press on these, make them round, tie those necks together, and that is another pair. I'm going to make another one just like that, go ahead, round them out. Now I made this pair a little bit smaller, honestly just out of habit from doing so many garlands, but go ahead and 2 together twist, take those 2 quads, put them together, and twist 1 balloon from each quad to make my first cluster. There she is, guys. Here we're going to go ahead and do another cluster just like that, making 2 pairs, twisting them together, and another 2 pairs, twist those together. We got our 2 quads, twist them together, and there are my first 2 clusters. Now using a 260, I'm tying one end onto one of the clusters pretty securely, double knot always, because why not? And then I'm going to go ahead and take the long end that's still hanging out there, and I'm going to basically mash these 2 clusters together as close as I can and wind that 260 around as many balloons as possible to make it secure. And that's what it's looking like so far. So I'm going to move on to the foils here, starting with this cute whiskey bottle, or should I say manly whiskey bottle. Of course, inflating by hand with this little hand pump. And there she is. What a cutie. Okay, moving on to the numbers. I have the numbers 8 and 4 because my husband was born in 84. No, he is not actually 84. And my own slow-mo moment right here. That, ladies and gentlemen, was a disaster. That's okay, I got her back. We blew up the 8 and bam! Those are 2 cute foil numbers. Quick little celebration. So let's look at putting the numbers up, and you can see, oh my gosh, the base is way too small for these giant numbers. Stroke of genius, let's make the base bigger. Making 2 more pairs to make a quad, another 2 pairs to make another quad, 2 together, twist those into a cluster. Near crisis averted, thank God. Tying in a 260 to that 3rd cluster and then wrapping that bad boy in and throughout a bunch of balloons there to add it onto the base, straightening it out, making sure it's actually balanced and level. Now it's time to tie a 260 onto our number 8 here. I am tying it in the middle of the 260, leaving both ends free so I can actually wrap those around the balloons in the base and tie them together at the bottom. Tying it at the bottom there really gave me an extra level of security. Now I had to do some work to twist and manipulate this base around and get those clusters in the shape I wanted them so it would actually hold up and balance itself with the weight and height of those numbers as well. I did finally get it, I promise. Now it's time to look at the number 4 and see where I'm gonna want it. Now the main thing here was that this number 8 was just in the way. It was too much in the center, needed to be more to the left to make room for this number 4. So all I did was reposition it by kind of grabbing those 260s and moving them into a different location. I didn't have to untie it or anything, literally just a gentle movement. Repositioned it, made sure the 8 was nice and supported by some of those base balloons, made sure it was still really secure with that 260 nice and tight, and it worked out great. And now guys, I have to figure out where to put this 4. I played with it a bunch, as you can see. I was pretty into the idea of balancing it on top of that 8. I thought that looked pretty sweet. But in the end, I decided to go ahead and have it nestled in the base just like the 8, but kind of pointing in the opposite direction. So what I need to do now is go ahead and tie a 260 onto the tail of the 4. Again, I'm tying it in the center, leaving both ends free, just like this. And then pulling both of those ends through different spots on the base of this bouquet and tying them together below some balloons down below, making sure that 4 is nice and secure and fully supported. Now let's get those numbers situated how I want them and break out the trusty balloon bond. If you guys haven't seen my review video on balloon bond, I'm telling you there's no other product I'm aware of that I would trust this kind of creation to. It has changed my life. I'm obsessed with this stuff and I've used it so many times since that review video and I've never had a bad experience with it. So all I'm doing is taking out one piece of balloon bond and I'm putting it on one of the foil balloons where the 2 are going to be touching, pressing it on nice and firm, and then removing that last adhesive backing, which has to be done kind of carefully. And then I very carefully kept those 2 numbers apart while I turned it around to face me so I could get it just right. And then I pressed those 2 little lovebirds together, just like that. Now I'm gonna let that cure for just a minute while I figure out where to put this whiskey bottle. Ooh, push those together a little more, make sure they're nice and tight. Okay, so I think I'm happy with putting the whiskey bottle on the end here, and what I'm gonna do is the same process. I'm gonna take one piece of balloon bond, put it on the edge of this foil balloon where it's gonna be sticking to another balloon, press it down nice and firm, go ahead and remove the paper backing there. I mean, that's what it looks like, you guys. It's just a clear double-sided adhesive basically, but it is made specially for balloons and it is more effective than anything else I've found. And then press it pretty firmly to that bottom balloon that's really supporting it, and also to the side balloons to hold it up as well. Okay, now I'm gonna use these glue dashes here to go ahead and finish off all the foils by putting a glue dash on each little tab that's still visible and gluing them back so they're out of sight from the front of this creation. By this point, the balloon bond should be pretty well cured, so while I'm being gentle on the foils, I'm not too worried about them coming apart at this point. It does bond within just a couple of minutes and it does a really good job. Now the foils are done, we're gonna go ahead and detail it with some small balloons. I'm gonna start with these mini gold chrome balloons I got off of Amazon. Go ahead and blow that up, and ew, that gold just clashes with the others. That's a no-go. Switching to the mirror space gray and these little black onyx cutie pies. Now with the small balloons, I am using the technique I cover in my brand new video on detailing with small balloons. So if you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and check it out to get the full rundown on exactly what I'm doing here. But I'm only doing just a couple of touches to this one. Honestly, this was a very simple one. I was trying to keep it basic, manly. Now on something this small where there's not a lot of space between where these detail balloons are going, I don't necessarily have to use a whole 260 on each one. I can actually cut that in half and just attach 1 or 2 balloons to each end of that half of a 260 and use it just like that. I added some detail on the top right there, and let me just give you a close-up on what I was talking about. So all I'm doing is taking the half of a 260, taking one end of it and tying it to that open balloon just like I would do in any other pair. Go ahead and tie that off. I did give it an extra twist just to be safe. So you can see there I can still get some good stretch out of that sucker. And guys, this basic balloon bouquet is done. So I surprised the birthday boy that he had no idea I was doing this, and he's now had it in his office for over a week and it still looks just about the same. I'm really impressed with how it's holding up. Everything is doing so well. That balloon bond came in so clutch and all of the balloons are still looking good, even the little guys. So I hope that helped on how to make a very basic balloon bouquet. You start with that solid base, go ahead and add your foils, detail it off to finish, and if you want to go crazy, you can go pretty wild with these bad boys. The main keys of pulling off a good bouquet is going to be to make sure that base is nice and balanced. You can either go for a symmetrical look or you can go for something, you know, a totally random shape, whatever you like. If you're only doing like a single number, a single letter, or some other, you know, one-off foil balloon, you don't have to go with such a wide shape. You could do either a single cluster or kind of make like a volcano shape, something like that. Just get creative with it, have fun. If you do have any questions on how to make a balloon bouquet, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. And as always, I love hearing from you, love getting your feedback on what you want to see more of from me. So go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know if you like this style of video, this voiceover style, if you want to see more of that from me. As always, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I will see you in the next video.